Now, joining us today from Singapore is Wei Zhou, the CEO of Coins.ph, one of the leading crypto platforms in the Philippines, with cryptocurrency prices surging and Bitcoin hitting an all-time high of $91,000 rather, following the return of Donald Trump to the White House. Wei is here to help us understand what this means for the global crypto market and its impact on the Philippines. Hi, Wei. Thank you for being here with us this morning.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Okay, Wei, interesting times for crypto, especially with the U.S. taking on a leadership role in this space. Since the election of pro-crypto president in the U.S., how has the global appetite for cryptocurrencies in general changed? I know Bitcoin is up for the year 112%. How has it changed from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that what has happened since the election of Donald Trump as the president, I think, has driven not just a tremendous interest in crypto and Bitcoin specifically from outside of the cryptocurrency industry, but I think it has also instilled people within the industry a new sense of confidence, especially with regards to regulation. The previous regime, especially in the U.S., to crypto, it has been perceived by the industry as been overly regulatory in terms of cracking down on even good actors and good companies. What we're seeing right now is with regards to not necessarily a pro-crypto, but I think a presidential regime under Donald Trump that is focusing on deregulation and pro-innovation. I think that bodes very well, not just for Bitcoin, but entire cryptocurrency and digital asset space.
Wei, President-elect Donald Trump has pledged to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet. How significant is this for the global crypto industry, and what does it mean for the Philippines in particular?
Yeah, I think a couple of points. I think for us here in the Philippines, it's actually been really good for those that have invested early into Bitcoin. Coins.ph, we've been around since 2016, 2017. So we have had users on our platform that has owned Bitcoin at the $100 level, $500 level, even $5,000 level. Even over the last 2 years, you could have bought as low as sort of 20,000 to 30,000. So I think Bitcoin is one of those assets that was what I call bottom up investment asset rather than top down. What that means is that it has been one of those assets that individuals around the world have been able to get access into, before what I call, mainstream investors, especially with regards to investors in the Philippines. In terms of big picture wise, what I think what's more important in addition to sort of, making the U.S. the crypto capital, I think what we've seen is actually real legislations that have been put forth by, elected representatives in the U.S. Congress in terms of following what sort of Donald Trump said in terms of creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve in the United States. He has pledged sort of in his campaign to not sell Bitcoin that has been on sort of the balance sheet of the U.S. government. And if the U.S. takes the lead in that, and we see sort of other countries and other global institutions sort of FOMO in, that could provide real fuel for growth for Bitcoin.
Right. It's a very interesting time for this industry, the space that you're in. With Trump's proposed policies, such as creating a national Bitcoin stockpile, that could signal a new era in how governments approach cryptocurrencies. How might this influence the Philippine government's stance on crypto, particularly in the context of national reserves and sovereign wealth fund, perhaps?
Yeah, I think what we're going to see here is that the U.S. is definitely going to take the lead on this. I think there have been other countries rumored to be building up, its own Bitcoin reserve ahead of the U.S. announcements or ahead of policy announcements, I think, from the Trump administration. I think with regards to the Philippines, we will have to sort of help the government here, whether it's a sovereign wealth fund, whether it's other, not just government institutions, but I think, private institutions to sort of get access to Bitcoin and to start adding Bitcoin as part of its own treasury and as part of its own balance sheet.
Now, specifically in the Philippine context, how would you assess our own Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas' approach to regulating cryptocurrency?
Yeah, Just in context, Philippines is actually one of the earlier countries in terms of coming out with regulation with regards to crypto digital assets in general. And our experience have been sort of for coins, we were the first one to be licensed by the BSP. And my experience here, and I think have put some context in terms of regulation here in the Philippines vis-a-vis the other countries. And as one of the leading players, we'd have to say, BSP has done a very good job in terms of leading the world actually in terms of having crypto regulation and having regulation that is both pro growth and pro business.
We were early into this nationally, as you mentioned, but are we keeping at pace with other countries in the ASEAN region in terms of regulation in this industry?
The answer that I have in terms of, working here and then also have been building here is definitely a yes. Within not just an ASEAN context, but I think within a global context as well. There's not that many countries in the world today that have, what I call both clear and transparent and certain policies. I think as a business operating in this sector, what we look for in terms of regulation is one, in terms of transparency, in terms of and clarity, in terms of what the rules are, right? And secondly, in terms of certainty, and the rules that govern our business is going to stay pretty much consistent today as it is, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, so that we can invest and hire for the business. And Philippines, I think, have had both sort of transparency and clarity in terms of what the laws are with regards to regulation on crypto. And given that we've been regulating in this industry since 2017, there's a lot of certainty that the rules that govern today is going to sort of stay applicable going forward as well. And I'll be honest with you, you can't say that of the U.S. over the last 4 years under the sort of the existing Biden administration. There's both lack of transparency of what the rules are, lack of clarity, and lack of certainty. So I think that's what the industry is looking forward to under the sort of the new administration.
Now, you mentioned, in some instance, lack of clarity. Now, critics argue that crypto markets are mainly driven by animal spirits rather than on economic fundamentals. That said, how sustainable would you say this current rally is? And on another front, how might Philippine investors be able to capitalize on the bullish momentum of crypto?
Yeah, I think just to comment on, I think the way I view crypto is that the internet is finally coming for money. If you look at sort of every single industry that we've been sort of operating and working in, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's transportation, whether it's even travel, right? All of those industries have been disrupted and have been changed in a fundamental way by the internet. And I think one of the last few institutions that the internet is coming after is actually the institution of money, banking and finance. And crypto at the end of the day is just a better technology than sort of the ledger, sort of balance sheet ledger technology of the last sort of century. And whatever happened going forward, even with regards to Bitcoin, it is a better sort of asset for the balance sheet and treasury management vis-a-vis gold. That's why they call it digital gold. And there's going to be other aspects of crypto and digital assets that's going to disrupt. And I think sort of that's why I think it's good to sort of get in. And I think, as I mentioned before, crypto is a very much a bottoms up asset. It is sort of because of the sort of the pervasive nature of the internet and the global nature of the internet, it is the only asset class that investors around the world can have access to in real time, 24/7, 365, vis-a-vis any other financial assets that you can invest in. And I think from the Philippines, given that Coins does operate and given that BSP, it is a regulated industry by the BSP, investors here can get access to investment assets that anyone anywhere in the world can get access to. And I think for the first time, you have an asset class that the Philippines is not behind the curve on. We're not the sort of the last country in the world that you can buy Apple stock or Google stock, but we're actually one of the first countries in the world that you can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana in.
Speaking of the global nature of this digital asset, the Philippines' remittances are a critical part of the Philippine economy. How do you see crypto transforming cross-border payments, and what opportunities do you see for this in this space?
Yeah, for anyone that has operated, I think in the global, and not just the global, but sort of the general remittance payment, there's a major pain point in terms of what I call T+1, +2, +3 settlement, which means that when I transact with you, you don't get the money that I pay until 2 or 3 days later, right? And then there's also an issue of processing fee. So anyone uses credit card, they know that whenever you use a Visa or MasterCard, they charge anywhere between, 2-3% sort of merchant processing fee. And the same is true sort of in the payment space. I think what crypto has finally allowed for is what I call getting everyone around the world to what I call T+0 settlement, which means that settlement can be instant and the fees are basically as close to zero as possible. And sort of for us, we're about to roll out, couple of different products. One is a peso-backed stablecoin. I think that's something that could be really interesting in terms of putting forth a new payment mechanism, not just sort of domestically, but actually for the remittance. And sort of Coins as a whole, we've been working with a lot of remittance companies for almost 5 years now in terms of using cryptocurrency as part of their sort of remittance settlement here within the Philippines. And we've seen, clear examples of once you start using US dollar-backed stable coins or other types of digital asset
Okay. Wei,
remittance
are you still
rails,
there?
you
Okay.
can lower not just
Wei, we're limited amount of time. We have to wrap up. But
you can basically
one quick question before we wrap up. We're out of time. In the world of cryptocurrencies, what are the bluest of the blue chips? Would that be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana? What are your thoughts on this so investors know what to look out for?
Yeah, I think three currencies that are here to, I mean, three assets that are here to stay are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Not financial advice, but personally, I have allocation to all three in my own personal portfolio. And I think with the elevation of Elon Musk to run the Department of Government Efficiencies, I have a tiny little bit of allocation to Doge as well.
All right. Thank you for your thoughts on that, Wei Zhou, the CEO of Coins.ph.